What's up? You're in the Beat Sessions. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's talk about Bad, Bad, Not Good. They have an album out called Talk Memory, and they released that on October 8th. This is the fifth studio album from the band, follows 2016's Four. And this band should be called Rad Rad Super Good. It's so bad. I'm sorry to kick this thing off with such a terrible dad joke. However, it is true. If you're not familiar with Bad, Bad, Not Good, ton of fun to listen to this band. There's a lot going on here that reminds me of a band, Galactic, if that helps, create a frame of reference or a little bit of context. A sound that's very much rooted in traditional jazz, but there's so much more going on that I think it's impossible to call it jazz. And drummer Al Sowinski talks about that, talks about their training and the way they approach the creation of music. But when you listen to these guys, especially, they're really known for incorporating a lot of hip-hop into their style. They've worked with Tyler, the Creator, Kendrick Lamar, Ghostface Killah, amongst others, which I think is just really cool. But there's a big rock and roll sound going on this record, and you can hear funk and just so many other things. But Al Sowinski on drums, Chester Hansen, remarkable on bass on this thing. I mean, just really, as a bass player, I know I'm biased, but he really was a lot of fun to listen to on this record. And then Leland Whitty's on the sax, and he's just ripping it up on this album as well. Really an impressive performance from him on this record. And then a ton of other fun guest appearances, including Brandy Younger. She's a harp player, put out an album earlier in the year. We talked about her on the channel. Terrace Martin as well is making an appearance playing saxophone. And there's just a ton of other great appearances on this record. This is an all-instrumental effort from them. So that's a cool thing about them. They tend to vary it up a little bit. Another thing about Galactic that I like as well. They'll just kind of throw whatever they feel like throwing at you, vocal or not. But the thing about it is that generally it's funky, it's upbeat, it's super good to listen to. That's what I'm really digging about this record. It's got just such a good contemporary feel. I think bands like this are important because, they make kind of that traditional jazz sound a little more approachable for people that, aren't interested in checking it out. And I think it is important. I think it's important to know your roots. And I think that when people listen to bands like Bad, Bad, Not Good, they realize, where a lot of this newer music that they love is coming from. And I think it's cool that bands like this are able to cross those, I guess those time barriers, reach back into time and draw on those roots and those influences, but make them sound very fresh and very fun to listen to for a new audience. The other thing I love about this too, and it's tough not to call them jazz for this reason, is that there's this remarkable tension going on between creating a composition and then just this loose improvisation that is just so at the root of jazz. And you listen to these guys, and when they start to jam, when this thing loosens up, I mean, they are so much fun to vibe with. I really would love to see these guys in concert. I have a feeling that they're just quite impressive to listen to, quite impressive to watch. But yeah, it's great to see how tight these songs can be at moments, and that's where you really get that composition element. And yeah, and then when the breakdown occurs and when they start to jam, there's just that vibe, that feel that's very loose, that's very fresh, but still holding it together. Just this frenzy that's just incredible to move in and out of while you listen to these guys. So let's get into the track listing. This thing opens up with Signal from the Noise. Big opener, just an incredible track. It's loose and disjointed in the intro, and then after about 3 minutes it comes together. So really getting a good display of that ability for them to have that looseness and then tighten up immediately. And then the track these peaks and valleys that it goes through, it gets big and it hits hard for a good solid 2 minutes. But really loving the way that song opens up this record, sets the pace. Unfolding, Momentum 73. Just this loose fusion of jazz and Eastern music in the intro especially. But I love the title. I mean, and the title really is descriptive of what's going on with the saxophone in this song. You are literally listening to this saxophone unfold and kind of develop this song and open it up as you listen to it. And I thought that was really well done. Conceptually, that's what I like about jazz too, the way song titles can reflect oftentimes what is going on with the music or what the artist is trying to emote. And these guys absolutely kill it on that track. City of Mirrors is your third song. Beautiful orchestration on this track. And this is where you're getting that rock and roll feel from these guys. And I'm really I love it so much when that element is coming to the forefront of their music. Beside April, your fourth track, probably the signature song on this record. Some might argue that Signal from the Noises. I think it is. But Beside April is just, it's a really, really interesting song. I love the dynamic because you got these breezy musical elements, very nice instrumentation there, but the percussion is urgent, and there's this pace to the song that kind of runs counter in the drumming and in some other elements. that really provide this interesting dynamic. So I enjoyed the hell out of that song for that reason. Love Proceeding is your fifth song, 90s alternative rock sound in that track. I was blown away by that. I absolutely loved it. And then Timid, Intimidating, you're going to get a little more of that traditional jazz feel in that track, but obviously a ton of fun different influences. There's a reprise of Beside April, which just piano. I mean, it's really stripped back, very simple, very elegant, and a nice way to lead into Talk Meeting, your last track, which is just a big jam session in the studio by the sounds of it. It sounds like all these different musicians came together, Terrace Martin, Brandy Younger, both on that track especially, and just jamming to close this thing out. Really just a fun project. If you've been on the edge about maybe wanting to check out jazz music, wanting to explore it, I might recommend a band like Bad Bad Not Good to you. There's a lot going on as far as contemporary elements that, again, will make that approachable, but the what's fundamentally at the core of their music, and especially that the improvisation versus the composition element, really just gives a great idea of what's going on with jazz music and what you can expect if you decide to listen to the classics and check out some more of that. So I'm going to vinyl please this. Hope you enjoy this record and hope you find this review helpful as well. Please like it, share it, do all the things for me. Check out the album, the channel for more album reviews, I should say, forgive me, and we'll see you next time on the Beat Sessions.